Hi, I'm Lionel Cartwright. Welcome back to Off the Charts, my podcast where we re-examine creative success. This is part 2 of a 2-part series featuring Grammy-winning, record-producing, Tony Award nominee Wayne Kirkpatrick. In this episode, we're going to explore Wayne's lateral move from songwriter to Broadway musical composer. It's a shift that exposes the mindset that's made Wayne such a prolific creator for such a long time. His shift not only involved learning curves, but dealing with setbacks and shutdowns, and how those setbacks and shutdowns actually opened new doors of creativity. As I mentioned in episode 1, Wayne's achievements are so brilliant they can divert you from the underlying creative outlook that I think is the secret to the creative heights he scaled. So many takeaways here. I hope you'll enjoy and be stirred by part 2 of my conversation with Wayne Kirkpatrick. What's the transition look like from songwriting to writing musicals for Broadway? I mean, I've seen 2 productions that you've done, and they're both so great, Something Rotten and Mrs. Doubtfire. And all the while I'm thinking, wow, so many songs. How is it similar? How is it dissimilar?
Yeah. There's definitely a learning curve. And well, first of all, you mentioned that your kids going to magnet school. I went to a magnet school in Baton Rouge. I went to Baton Rouge High, and the great thing about that was I don't know if it was like this where your kids went, but when you go to a magnet school, or when I went to magnet school, you had to declare a major. So because it was kind of designed like a college prep school in some ways, and you had to maintain a certain grade point average overall, but then a higher average in your major. And so my major in high school was theater.
Wow.
So
is that right?
Yeah. So we had a great theater department and music department and all, so but I was really interested in theater and more specifically music theater. So I was involved in plays and musicals all through high school, and even wrote, a class assignment, write a little 15-minute piece, we did stuff like that. So I, was in equal parts going through high school and listening to James Taylor and Dan Fogelberg and the Eagles and Fleetwood Mac, and then also listening to Pippin and A Chorus Line and Music Man and all of these, and also just being influenced and fascinated by writing teams like Rodgers and Hammerstein or Kander and Ebb, or so that was another side of me that, and I didn't develop it as much, but it was definitely, I was definitely inspired and influenced by, I mean, what is more hooky than Rodgers and Hammerstein songs? I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So a great song, and I mean, even actually, Fran, my wife, she didn't even know this till years later, but she didn't realize that the Beatles song "Till There Was You" was written by Meredith Willson. It's from The Music Man. She's like, I always thought that was a Beatles song. It's like, so that it's like, yeah, that those two worlds can live together. And so it's not as foreign as you might think. The path from commercial music to music theater, in one sense. So I would say that going into that world, I brought with me the tools that I had in my tool belt. By that point, I had been writing songs for many years. But there was another aspect of it that I had to be kind of reawakened to. And it's that when you're writing commercial music and you're putting them on a record, the goal is to have this oral experience. Where
Yes.
this needs to end up sounding great. It needs to be a song that jumps out and with theater, it's more three-dimensional. And it's not just a listening experience, it's a visual experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so
right.
when a song is happening on the stage, it's like, what else is going on? And there were times when the director would help us with this. It's like you've got this song and one person singing it, and it's like, but there's like three other people on stage. What are they doing while this is going on? It's like, oh, right, have to think this way, not just this way. So, and you're also trying to, in songwriting and just in a 3.5 minute song, you're trying to tell a story and beginning to end or capture little caps of a story. And in a musical, you're trying to propel a story forward. So it's a piece of a bigger story. A song is a piece of a bigger story.
Right.
And it's the development of a character. And so just those kind of things that kind of had to train myself to think like, which was, well, I loved it. I think in all aspects of any aspect of music, if I venture into some other area that I'm not as familiar with, I'm kind of I'm a studier, an analyzer of that genre or something. So I become a sponge, and I love learning new stuff about, so, if I'm going to dive in and commit, then it's like, okay, I need to know everything that I need to know. So how do I learn? So then I just start absorbing anything and everything that I didn't know in my theater repertoire, adding to it, learning, getting familiar with more types of theater, and just trying and then go see something and go, okay, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? Or that worked like gangbusters. Why did that work? And trying to figure out what it is. And the stressful part of it was I was doing a lot of that on the job. So I need to figure out why that doesn't work, and I've got 2 weeks to figure that out before people start coming and watching this. Yeah, that's the part that I don't recommend. But trial by fire.
Well, you sure rose to the occasion. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
It was really fun seeing one of your works in London. We saw Mrs. Doubtfire over there. We saw Something Rotten when it came to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And just great work, my friend.
Thank you.
Great work. A part of you that's interesting to me is we hear a lot of talk about hustle culture these days, and not in a favorable light with, here in this present day.
Mm-hmm.
You've always struck me, and you even referred to yourself this way, as more of a quiet, I don't know if you would characterize yourself as an introvert. I don't know about that, but you would.
Yeah. And especially in large crowds. I do better one-on-one,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Being that that's your personality type, and being that the music business, the entertainment business overall is such a contact sport, how have you navigated that all these years, Wayne? And I hear you repeatedly referring to relationships, whether it's with Tommy or Gordon, Keith, whoever. Obviously, you circulated, you developed these relationships. How does that come about for someone with a quieter personality.
Yeah. I sometimes marvel at that myself. It's like, how did I get here? Because I'm not a hustler. I've never been good at selling myself to someone else. And I'm very much prefer for things to happen organically.
Hmm.
I've never been one to force myself on. So it's like, oh, you got to use me for this. You got to hire me. I would be great for this. I just don't, that's not in me to do. So, but if I'm sitting and having a conversation with someone and we're kind of connecting on some sort of level where, like, whether it's talking about music or food or whatever it is. And then it's like, oh, we should get together. We should do this, and those kind of things, it just happens organically. And I prefer those.
Yeah.
Of course, you can't sit around and wait for that to happen every time. But um, so I think some of it is I'm also I'm not a hustler, but I'm a hard worker.
I see that.
And
Yep.
and and when I am given something to do, I give it 100%. You know, and I think that goes a long way. I pride myself on being reliable, and
Hmm.
and also trying to be uh, easy to work with. You know, um, and all of those things that come with things that are required when once you are allowed in the room. You know, to then try to deliver, try to be accommodating, or try to be uh, not a thorn in people's side, which is not always successful at that, but that's my attitude generally speaking. And so maybe that helps some. Um, and then like anything, when one thing happens for you, it opens the door
Right.
for other things. So, but I will say that most of the things that have happened for me have been because of someone else that has helped it happen for me. I've certainly not ever done it completely on my own. There are people in my life that have helped an introvert open the door by either it's like, oh, you guys should work together. You would hit it off, or
Right.
or have you
Right.
heard this thing that he did, or people that are uh, helping create opportunities for me, open doors for me. So I I think that's why. I mean, I go through. I mean, everything that I do, I try to have a certain sense of gratitude for all of it, and never take it for granted because I know that I've been fortunate to have a lot of the opportunities that I've had, and I don't take that for granted. You know,
Of course. Of course. I see that in you clearly. Um, it sounds like, just thinking for somebody out there, like, I have no idea, like, just like you, I have no idea how to do this. There's something about putting yourself in the flow of
hmm
things doesn't mean you're aggressive or even you're proactive, certainly.
yeah,
But I like those are great descriptors. Dependable. Um, I think you've always seemed like an easy guy to be around and to work with, um, and just go through the next open door. Right?
yeah,
If a door opens, you go through that, and then that usually opens the next door and the next door.
yeah. And I've always thought, or always believed, because the only thing we have control of individually is what we can do, you know,
Right.
and that is to do the work, and that you might be doing the work by yourself, you're creating something. But I've always believed that work creates opportunity. So if I'm going to do this thing, and it's just something that I'm passionate about, so I'm going to do it. And this particular thing might not ever see the light of day as far as like having some sort of successful success attached to it. But I did the work, and it might lead to something else because I have this thing that I did first. And that can be in any number of things, whether it's writing a song that no one ever records, it's writing a novel that no one ever publishes, painting a painting that no one ever buys, but it is all contributes to the experience of creating that makes us a fuller, gives us a fuller experience, and that we can take from that. I mean, an example is like I said, I was 3 years in landscape architecture. I did a lot of drawing. I did a lot of model building and, stuff with my hands and designing. I never became a landscape architect, but I used those skills that I learned and applied them to other things, whether it's, any number of things that I still use. So those kind of fundamental skills found their way into other things that I do, and I just don't think any of that is wasted. And on the surface, you might go, "Oh, that was a waste of time because nothing ever happened with it." I don't think you can look at productivity that way.
I could not agree more. And Wayne, the impetus for me doing this podcast is simple. The name of the podcast is Off the Charts, and the tagline is Re-examining Creative Success. And I always end it with I have a little mantra I say, go make something.
Yeah.
Because I just feel that all humans, bar none, are creative. Whether you've ever gotten in touch with that or not, I guess I hope to encourage people to get in touch with that and to go make something, whether that's in landscaping. I've even referred to planting a garden. It could be raising your kids. It could be starting a business. There's something about making something that, in a similar way as we were talking about songwriting, opening up pockets of yourself, there's something about just making something.
Yes.
That just, I don't know, I think it's almost a spiritual thing that opens up parts of you that may not be accessible otherwise.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And you know what I would add to that is in the process of doing that, at least for me, to also be a finisher.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
Because, we all, a lot of people have a lot of ideas sometimes, and you start something because you're excited about it.
Yes.
And the middle is hard. It becomes laborious. It's boring. It's not shiny and new anymore. And then you have a new idea and I'm going to start this. And I always, try to tell people it will do you a world of good to finish more things than not, because then you have a sense of accomplishment that,
yes.
So you don't have a lot of things hanging out there that are halfway done. And so, to sit back and go, hey, look, I finished that. That could be the accomplishment in and of itself. I finished it. And now I'm going to do this other thing, and I'm going to get through the hard middle part, and I'm going to get to the other side of that, and I'm going to finish that. And now I've got a pile of things that I've finished more than I have a pile of things that are unfinished. And I just think that is good for the soul.
I love that so much. Good for the soul. You made me think of a writer who really inspired me. Wow, this is like 15 years ago, Wayne. His name is Scott Belsky,
Mm-hmm.
and he wrote two books. One was Making Ideas Happen, and the other was The Messy Middle.
The messy middle. Oh, the middle. That's rough.
It can get really rough.
Yes. And never did I see that more clearly than in writing the musical.
I can only imagine.
Because the length of time it takes to write a song, generally speaking, is like this. And the length of time to write a musical is like, I don't have a screen big enough for it.
Wow.
And when you're in the middle of it and it's not working, and you're staring down where you came from and then where you've got to get to, it's daunting. And so, but so satisfying to get over that middle hump and get to the resolve and to the,
Wayne, would you say, I'd love to hear you give some key words, if you will, that middle hump. Is it just when the inspiration is gone, from the excitement is gone, is it just pushing through? I'd love for you to describe that middle. Just what does it feel like in that middle place where you're still, it feels like 1,000 miles from ending and you're tempted to abandon it. This sucks. This is not any good. I'd love to hear you describe that some more.
Yes. It's a slog. It is a slog. It is like wading through tar. It's like standing in quicksand. It is looking for someone to throw you a lifeline, a life raft or anything, and it's not coming, And I mean, I can give you more specific examples, like in Something Rotten. Our whole idea was hinged on, at this point where there is this character Nostradamus who looks into the future and predicts the future of theater as musicals, and then the greatest play ever written that had yet to be written by Shakespeare was going to be Hamlet, and so and then he wrongly predicts that the name of that show is called Omelet because he's not a very good soothsayer, but and so these two writers go about trying to write this show before Shakespeare writes it, and it is going to be a musical, and it's going to be called Omelet. So it's Omelet the musical. So that was like a major plot point of our show. That was the musical within the musical that's going to happen in the second act. And we wrote that song 10 times before we got the one that is on the stage now. And so that is a middle that the amount of times that we would write something and then either realize ourselves that's too long, it's not right, or we would have something that we would think was right and send it to the director, and he'd go, "I don't think this is it." There were times when you were like, "I think we finally cracked it." No pun intended, but we cracked it, and we'd send it and go, I don't think so. And then you're like, I don't know if I've got anything else in me for this, and I don't know what to do.
So what would you say to somebody out there who's worked up the courage to experiment with a book, with a painting, with a song, maybe even an instrumental. They're trying to wade in to creativity.
Yeah.
But they've reached that middle. Maybe it's a day in, maybe it's 6 months in. What would you say to them, Wayne, if they're like, this sucks. I'm not even gonna finish it. I'm just gonna find something else that I'm excited about. What do you say to that person who's discouraged and just think, I'm not even gonna do this, man?
Okay, that's tricky because I'm gonna say my first instinct would go, keep going, get through it, finish it, even if it's bad, even if you finish it and the finished product is bad, finish it so that you can put it away forever. You know, but I think there's that part. It's like, get through it. It might not be a good idea. There might be, in that pushing through it, you might have a breakthrough. I mean, put it down for a while, even, but don't totally give up on your first outing. You know, I mean, having said that, obviously we've all had things where you go, I thought this was going to be something, but this is obviously, I've hit a brick wall, and all signals are telling me this is not worth finishing. But don't do that when you're first starting. You know, you can do that if you've been writing for 20 years and you can you can kind of tell more when something is going to be worth pursuing or not. But even in those times, you can just put something aside and take a breather from it. Because sometimes I think when we are so focused and so frustrated that something's not working, your inclination is to, I'm just going to beat this thing to death. You know, I'm just going to keep plugging away with it. And you just get more and more frustrated because it's not working. And then if you put it aside and then you're thinking about something else or have another activity, whether it's for the day, for the week, for the month, when you're not being forced to think about it, it's sometimes when the ideas come. How many times have you been focusing on a lyric and I can't get these lines, and then you go to the bathroom and something, it's like, oh, it's you've changed your environment. You've changed. I'm not focused on writing this lyric. I'm focusing on peeing, you know, or whatever it is.
Right.
And I'm thinking about something else. I think Paul Simon talks about that when he was writing his book. In his book about writing lyrics and throwing a ball against the wall.
Yes.
He's like doing something else, some sort of other motor skill or something that kind of, so that you're not just totally focused on this one thing. I don't know. Everybody has their tricks, but but that all goes back to the if you've hit that wall and you can't get through it, I would say, welcome to the middle. Join us here in the middle, and we're all, you know,
right.
Yeah.
I think there's something encouraging about even knowing before you hit it, I'm going to hit it.
You're going to hit it.
Every time. Mm-hmm. Almost unfailingly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's really good. Some good words there. I want to ask you, how have you harmonized your roles? You mentioned we've both been married for now over 40 years, you and I, which is not common, not bragging about it. Right. I'm not even taking credit for it. For me, I'm definitely not taking credit for it. But how have you harmonized, Wayne, the roles of a professional creator, which is a challenging life choice?
Yeah.
Vulnerable. What's the next thing? Life choice, with being a spouse and a parent. Challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, I would say that I married the right person for for this world. That I brought her
Yes.
to, and she is a partner, and is a willing partner and a supporting partner in this whole venture. And um, so it takes a certain temperament to be the wife of someone in this profession, or the husband of someone in this profession, um,
Yes.
and or the partner, or whatever they are, and so, like you said, I said I don't take credit for that. I give credit for that to her, and at the same time, I relationships and family are hugely important to me, and have always
Yes.
been important. One of my strongest desires is to be a good father. From the time that
Mm.
I had kids, it's like that to me, uh, mentally and emotionally, is way more important to me than having a hit song. So, um, now the job that I do, the things that I do, is takes me away from home, or demands a lot of my time, especially in the early days of doing that and working uh, around the clock. And there is that's where the partnership comes in, with to kind of figure out how to do that together. And I I don't know. I think that, coupled with a mentality of, like, I want to have good relationships with my kids. So, if that's a driving force, if that's more important to me ultimately than my career, then uh, I think that helps too. Um, and But at the same time, the job comes with a lot of demands. But
Yeah.
even if it was, like, it was always important to me. I mean, my kids are all grown now; they're adults, and my daughters have kids of their own, and we have great relationships, and um, I've asked them before, did you when you think back, do you think of me as being gone a lot, or not, and they don't seem to think that. So I guess
Mm.
that's good. Um, but it was always, I always wanted to make sure that we had a family vacation every year, or that we had spring breaks together. We did, and I would do everything within my power to make sure that I uh, had carve out time for a family. You know,
Mm.
anything that was within my control to do that, and that was not a chore for me. It was like I wanted that. I, I,
Right.
I want to spend time with my family. Um, so that's all I can say. I married somebody that I like. You know,
No, that's really good. That's really good. It sounds like um, you desired that. You wanted
I desire that.
that. Those were important.
Yeah,
A family, a marriage, being a good parent was really important, which translates into decisions and intentionality. Right,
yeah.
over time, priorities. It's a challenge for sure, but I think guys like you show that it can be done.
It can be done. I mean, you know, I'm I'm a working songwriter.
Right.
I'm not a hugely successful, songwriter compared to a lot of these, these people that are, household name people, and which I don't, that doesn't matter to me. I just, for me, it was always, I'm not, I don't want to be I'm not trying to be the best person in the business. I'm just trying to be the best that I can be in the business.
Wow.
And doing everything I can to avoid getting a real job.
Right.
If I can just do it, just keep doing what I love to do. I mean, that is a success to me,
Totally.
to be able to wake up every day excited about what I'm doing.
Yes.
And that's really all I've ever wanted or needed, and I still, even the stuff that I have been allowed to be a part of or allowed to do, I still pinch myself. It's like, oh, this is what I do. This is what I'm able to do for a living. Pinch me. I do still love it and want to keep doing it,
There's a young, and I've felt this from you ever since we've gotten kind of closer the past 10 years or so, but there's a youthfulness about you. There's a young spirit that I feel in you. And I feel that from people who find something they love to do.
Yeah.
And they do it. There's something about that I'm not going to say it's anti-aging, but it is, in a sense, I think, in maybe a mindset way and in a spirit and a soul way. It does keep you're excited about that you get to do this thing. It gets you up in the morning.
Yeah, it keeps you mentally young. It does.
Yes.
And I think for me, and I fight against this, or it's like I don't want to be jaded.
No,
I don't. I want to always see that youthful excitement, that wide-eyed curiosity, sense of exploration, and not go into it like some crusty old writer that's been doing it for 30 years or 40 years or something. It's like I want to see the magic in it. I always want to have that. So, and it's easy, when you've been knocked down a lot or and you've gone through or seen the ugly side of it all. It's easy to go there, and I really don't want to go there. I want, and so I choose not to.
I love that. I read recently, there's a young woman, man, who's writing books that just blow me away. It's like, if I didn't know her age, I would swear she was in her 80s. Brianna Wiest, Wiest. And I'm 2/3 of the way through a book of hers called The Pivot Year, which is just daily little writings. But it's a lot along the lines of what you're saying. And one of the things she said was, cynicism is a shield. And jadedness. And I've always avoided it. I think because I don't want it chipping away at this thing that I love to do. And I still love to do it. And I still feel an exuberance in it and an enthusiasm. One of my favorite words. I feel an enthusiasm about it. Ditto what you said. I pinch myself like, wow, I'm still doing this. And it still lights up the circuits in me that it did decades ago.
And still feel like I have so much to learn.
100%.
Yeah. It's like there's so much I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
So somebody teach me,
I love being a learner. I still part of that enthusiasm is from learning things. Maybe that's actually the taproot of it. I don't know.
Yeah. You're certainly forced to do that when you put yourself in a completely out of your comfort zone, and challenge yourself to do something that you don't know how to do, and see how far you can get with it.
Totally. Wayne, I'm coming off a year of that, like learning things that I've never done. And it's just been exhilarating. And I kind of want to transition into, I'm super curious about this, back to the idea that, man, Wayne, our generation has been through such a trajectory in the music business of such change.
Yeah.
It's unprecedented, really. I think you could argue for 100 years without precedent. There's been format changes and there's been stylistic changes, but not the kind of changes that we've seen where it just gets totally reworked and torn down, deconstructed, reconstructed. Well, everybody's gone through quantum shifts. Almost doesn't matter what industry you're in. But I do think music was kind of the canary in the coal mine, even 20, 25 years-ish ago, when these models that you and I have come up through, just with the underlying assumption that, well, this is how this is done, and this is how this is bought and sold, and this is how you get paid at the end of the day. What's your take on that, my friend, after having such an amazing history in it? Where are you now? And I think I know kind of some of this answer in what we just talked about with your still loving doing the thing. But in the way we do the thing, what's your reading on it?
In like the state of the industry, you mean? Or
Yeah, regarding streaming, regarding all these temples that we see shifting and, if not crumbling, to new ways of doing this.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, obviously, the advances with AI technology and what that is doing to I mean, it's a tool, and I don't know. I look at that. We are unfortunately in a you and me are in a place where we know how it once was. So we are going to always compare, especially in terms of the kind of a healthy industry, whether it's how royalties are generated, based off of album sales, and that, we came up in a time where you wrote a song, and if it was recorded on an album, there's a chance that, if that, because people bought albums, and then you move into now, and you talk to especially songwriters like Music Row songwriters that are, in the trenches every day and writing, trying to get cuts that way. Getting a cut on an album doesn't mean anything financially. You have to have a single, and singles have always paid more than album cuts, obviously. But you could have a decent career as a songwriter and never have a single,
Right.
30 years ago, 20 years ago. Now that you can't hardly make anything off of album sales from an album cut, because albums don't sell. And then obviously in the streaming format, the fractions of pennies that are paid on a per stream, or per a million streams, it's not a living wage.
No.
So, in one sense, I don't know. I don't know what I would do if I was 21 years old now and trying to make a living as a songwriter. I don't know that you could make a living just as a songwriter. So I think it's important to diversify. To be able to do, you need to be able to write, and you need to be able to produce and engineer, play an instrument. All that, would be one sense to make yourself a one-stop shop, or and that's one way to go. But even that, AI is threatening all of that. You can sing a song into a AI program, and it'll spit out a demo that sounds pretty amazing. So I don't know what that means for the future. I don't know what that means for the future of the craft of writing, or the musicianship of people. You hope that the desire to hone a craft will prevail over the shortcut of, like, I can hit a button and have multiple instruments play and never have to learn to play an instrument. But I don't know. I can see where it will make us lazy. But so did, in the same sense, so did the calculator. Before the calculator,
Good point.
it had to learn how to solve math problems on your own. Calculator came along, and now I don't have to do that. And so that skill goes away to some degree. But I've always got access to a calculator. So the difference is that how rapidly AI advances over a short period of time. That sounds like a bleak forecast, but I think what we've had to do with every advance in technology is it's not going to go away. So
No.
you have to figure out how to embrace it and how to use it to your advantage. So, I need to learn how to be good at prompts. I need to know how to write good prompts. That would be one thing. I need to know how to make AI work to my advantage, so that I'm a valuable asset to these people that are going to be using AI all the time. That's the only thing I can think of now, because we're in the middle of uncharted waters, and so I don't know where it's going to end up. I mean, AI could implode because it takes too much energy to run it all, and so it may solve itself by imploding, and we have to rely on other ways to create as well, or in tandem with AI. I don't know. It's a new frontier.
It sure is. It sure is. Well, you're an interesting, your vantage point is, I think, insanely valuable, like you said, because we're coming out of this century-plus old system that, yes, has gone through transformations, but usually it was a format transformation. But this is not that. This is not even... Remember, Wayne, when there were paid downloads, when iTunes first came along and people were buying digital downloads, well, now that seems like the end of the rainbow.
Right.
But that was fought against at the time.
Sure.
But I guess what I am hitting on here, and I know it's a tricky thing, but I am hitting on this, Wayne, that I still think, for the reasons that we've touched on in this conversation, it still is beneficial for humans to learn an instrument, to write songs. Now,
oh yeah,
what I touch on this podcast often is, I feel like we've limited creative success in terms of creating music to two metrics. And I'm not dogging these metrics. I've benefited from these metrics. How famous did it make you? How much money did it make you?
right.
But I think there's other metrics to creation And again, it's easy for you and I to say because we've benefited from the old system. We were there when you got paid handsomely if you got a song on the radio.
Right.
If you, like you said, even if you didn't get a song on the radio, if you got a song on an album and the album sold well, you could make a handsome return on that investment of time and energy. But I still think even if going forward, like if you're in your 20s now, maybe you don't place the burden of your income on making that. And maybe I'm contradicting myself here by saying you're either all in or you're all out. I just still think there's value for a human soul in creation.
I would be willing to bet that anyone who sits down and puts the time into learning to play an instrument is going to find much more satisfaction from that than hitting a button and having produce instant music from a prompt, but there is effort involved, as you know, in learning an instrument. It doesn't happen instantly.
That's right.
But I think those are the things, that human element, that human touch will never be replaced. That sense, look at the resurgence of vinyl, listening to vinyl records even. I don't know how that applies somehow, but I think about, the experience of listening to music where you were sitting down with a large album, and looking at the artwork and reading the liner notes and all of that, and hearing the crackle of vinyl and all that. That was a certain type of listening experience, and for whatever reason, people are going back to that. It's the same way in the in the 80s, I guess, maybe throughout the 80s and the early 90s, the video game craze that came on, and which kind of somewhat crippled the board game industry, because everybody's playing videos.
Right.
But then it came back around, the communal aspect of sitting down and playing a board game and physically doing, it came back. And it's because people need interaction with other people. People need to have that real time connection. And so in music, I think a part of that it will always be there. Now, what the financial model of that will be is to be determined. But
right.
But the human experience of it will be desired from a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, I think that communal element is huge.
Yeah.
Huge. I'm experimenting with AI, and
me too. It's not going away, and it can be a very helpful tool in
absolutely.
So it's amazing. It's amazing what it can do.
I've told Cindy I feel like I've hired an assistant with it helping me in editing.
Yeah.
I still want to create from a soulful place, but I love your sentence there. It's not going away. Wayne, when I first saw hard disk recording, which was back in the year 2000, I knew, like, you better learn this. You better learn this. And you can go down the road, it'll never take the place of I'm not a Luddite in that way, and I get why people get married to systems and ways of doing things, but if there's anything I think we can learn from technology is it don't go away.
No.
So you got to find some way of making peace with it. But hey, before we jump off, I'd love to hear how folks, obviously we can experience so much of your music, and I've already told folks a lot of the songs that you've gotten cut, that you've written. How's the best way for them I'd like to zero on your musicals, and also tell us about this doc. I'm fascinated with this board game doc that you're working on.
Oh, yeah. That, speaking of labors of
Right.
love and passion projects and eternally in the middle. Yeah, well, first of all, the musicals, like Something Rotten, which it had its run on Broadway. It ran for almost 2 years, and then it had a couple of tours that toured the U.S. So then it went into the licensing phase, and so now that show is licensable, and so it's done in high schools and regional theaters all around the country, and then it's in other countries, but that show is going to have another production that is opening next summer, start in the UK. It's not ever played in the UK all these years, and we're really excited about that. So
that's exciting.
It's going to open in Manchester in the summer of next year, with the hope and the intent of it to move into London's West End from there. They haven't secured a theater yet, so we don't know the date of when that's going to happen. But that's kind of the trajectory of that. Which that show first came out 10 years ago. In 2015 is when that came out. So the fact that it still has a life and that's really exciting. Mrs. Doubtfire is currently. There's a U.S. tour happening right now, and I don't know where it is today, but it's touring for the next year or so, and it's opening in Germany on November 6th. So I'm headed over there this weekend to start to go over and check that out. And so that's if you're in Germany and want to see it in German, it's.
I love it.
Yeah, and then it's also going to do. There will be a UK tour of Doubtfire starting in the fall of next year, and then it's playing in Brazil and Spain and Australia, or will be in Australia. So it's getting ready to go around the world, which is exciting.
That's exciting.
Yeah. The board game documentary, that is just one of those passion projects that I've been really interested in, the history of board games, and started on this project with a couple of friends of mine, trying to make a documentary. Again, something I've never done before, and so learning as I go, but done a lot of research into the history of board games. And we started it like in 2018 or 2019, so pre-COVID. And then when COVID hit, of course, everything shut down. But the thing that was great about that, if you could say find great things in COVID, is when COVID hit, we were in the middle of, or on the beginning of, doing Doubtfire. Doubtfire was on Broadway. We were in previews, which means you're still working on the show, but an audience is coming to see it. And we had done 3 shows, and then COVID happened and shut down. So we had been working all this time. We had done an out of town run in Seattle in the fall of 2019. And then we had gone to New York in February of 2020, and we were in rehearsals in a rehearsal room for a month. And then we moved into to the theater, everything set up, did 3 shows, and then COVID came and shut down the whole thing. And we didn't come back. We came back 19 months later.
Oof.
To fire the show back up, as did all of Broadway, and everything was eerily just the way we had left it in the theater. Yeah,
wow,
crazy. Anyway, but during that downtime, I was able to do a lot of research that I wouldn't have regularly been able to do, because when the theater stopped everything came to a screeching halt. It went from like going 90 miles a minute trying to get this musical finished and rewritten and all the, all the stuff that you do in getting a musical ready, to a screeching halt, and nothing. And
wow.
coming home and going, okay, wonder what's on Netflix tonight, but during that time, I was able to do some deep dives into research. And I'm talking about researching into like the kind of ushering in of the game industry in America, which was like in the 1840s. It's like kind of when it started.
That old?
Earnest, yeah. And finding some of these, doing deep dives into these early game makers and game manufacturers, and it was fascinating. And my wife is very into genealogy and genealogy research. And so that was something I was like, hey, here's this character from the 1800s that sold this game and had a big success with this game. See what you can find on him. And then she'd go and do from a genealogical research and go in and find information about these people. And I've met a lot of people in the game industry along the way, and people who've written books about whatever, Parker Brothers or Milton Bradley, or things that I've got to be friends with, and they were historians on certain aspects of this game information. And then there was a point where I had done so much research that I ended up telling them things that they didn't know about. So that became kind of a fun kind of benchmark to becoming a kind of considered among some people of knowing some things about game history that maybe other people didn't, or finding photos of some of these people that no one had ever seen before, and all that.
Wow.
And that was because I was able to do all of this. I had time to do all this research during COVID. So I made the best of it with all of that. And then post-COVID and getting back into it, it's a project that we piddle around on here and there because it costs money and we don't have anyone attached to it currently. So we're just trying to make it on our own and pay for it on our own as we can. But I will say, during this process, I was able to I interviewed this guy named Reuben Klamer, who invented the game of life.
Wow.
And he has now passed away. I think I might have been the last interview that he did. He was 96, about to turn 97 when we interviewed him, and spent the day with him.
Amazing.
And so I interviewed him. I interviewed Ren Geyer, who was one of the inventors of the game Twister.
Wow.
And he was the inventor of Twister and Nerf.
Whoa.
And he had the original Nerf ball that was like this piece of foam that was spray painted orange and had it in. And I've got a picture of me holding that. And
unbelievable.
And I found there's the guy that invented the game Clue, which was a British game. It was called Cluedo in London. This was in the 1940s when that, and the guy that invented it was a musician.
Wow.
And he used to play on cruise ships. It's where he got the idea for the game, that they were doing some sort of murder mystery kind of game on these cruise ships. But anyway, so he passed away a long time ago, but I found his daughter.
Oh.
She lives in Wales, and I was over in England, and me and my wife went to Wales, and we got a local camera guy to come with us, and I interviewed her, and she had all of her father's stuff. So she had the original handwritten rules of the game, which was
Wow.
originally called Murder, ! Murder. And she had pictures of the cards but more importantly, and the thing that no one else got, but I was talking to her about his musicianship. He played the piano, and he also wrote. He was a composer.
Wow.
And songs that had never been published, but she had his handwritten compositions.
Amazing.
In a folder, and I scanned them all. I said, I want to take these back to Nashville, and I want to record them. I want to see what they sound like. She had never heard them. She'd never heard them.
Oh my goodness.
And so I did a first batch of that. I got a piano player who can sight read and do it to come and play, and they're really good.
Wow.
And so anyway, that's one of the, I don't know, I just feel like that's going to end up somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know. It's something. But I mean, that was like to me, that's Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was my Indiana Jones moment. Here's this guy, this game that I grew up playing. I loved Clue, still love it. I played it with my kids. And
Yes.
I am like 1 degree of separation from the guy that invented that game, talking to his daughter. And now I've got this stuff that he did before he invented Clue. He was a songwriter. And I was like,
Wow.
That's full circle kind of stuff right there.
Yes.
Anyway, those kind of things. And so I say that feeds into the kind of work creates opportunity thing.
Yes. Yes.
This documentary may never see the light of day, but I have met so many interesting people and learned so many things about an industry that I knew nothing about, but was a participant in their product because we grew up playing board games my whole life. And so to connect to that in some way and have some reason to sit and talk to the guy that invented the game of life. I mean, I would have never had that had I not gone into this. I think I'm going to make a documentary, And
Yes.
so there's a part of me that it doesn't matter if it ever gets made. It's already getting made. It's being made inside me, because I've learned so much.
This is such a beautiful place to end on. That's the thing about creativity, right?
Yeah.
It's so conducive and even attractive. Things happen. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah.
That if you're out there and you're feeling that creative impulse, it's so not about wanting to be rich and famous, just to follow that impulse. When you first started writing songs, to trust that desire, that impulse. Maybe it sounds like magic. Maybe it is.
And maybe it is, but just leaning into the desire to have experiences, emotional experiences, physical experiences, just what better way to have an experience than to try to create something?
And again, back to you, that comes before the cart. That horse of curiosity, of wanting to have experiences, and it just makes for a richer life.
Yeah. I'm never bored.
That's good. Well, I've been inspired by your life, seriously, Wayne. Even before we ever met, I would see your name popping up in these songs that I was drawn to over and over and over. I'm like, wow. And I sense those attributes of what you make in stuff you make. And
good.
I don't know. I think I know we're in a crazy time. I know in some ways it's a really scary time, but I almost think creativity, it's a great time to create.
Yeah.
It's almost a form of resistance, I think.
Yeah. I think it's a crucial time to create.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you hear so much negativity about, oh, but there's AI. And I heard it back when I started embracing hard disk recording. Oh, Wayne, my friends on Music Row thought I was making electronica music.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. I'm still using real instruments. It's just a different way of capturing them.
Right.
So I think I just want to fan the flames, man, of creativity in people, because I think it gives you a richer life.
Agreed.
Thank you, my friend. What a great conversation. Thanks for being so generous and just so candid about your life. And my goodness, what an amazing creative life you've had. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed it.
As I said in the part 1 intro, the creative works are the fruit, but the mindset is the root. What a gift to look under the hood at this lifelong creator and see what fuels Wayne Kirkpatrick's creative impulse. Did you catch that moment when, after his Broadway play was shut down by COVID, he gets an idea to do a documentary on the history of board games, which then leads to the discovery of musical compositions by the creator of the game Clue. There it is, the awareness, the playfulness, the curiosity. That's what we're talking about. I feel like our culture fixates on the fruit, the Grammys, the Tonys, the hits, and of course, those are high points worth celebrating. Absolutely. But they're outcomes, results of a way of living. Fame and money are fleeting. They come and they go. But this attitude, this spirit, it's constant. It's a way of going through life that's rich, interesting, and in and of itself, its own reward. That's what I want to encourage here on Off the Charts. Many thanks to Wayne for his time and his example of a truly creative life. But one last thing. Don't compare your creative outcomes to Wayne's or to anyone else's. As the saying goes, compare and despair. It's a waste of energy. You're far better off following your own interests and preferences, letting your expressions flow from who you are and your authentic voice. That's where the good stuff is. Thanks so much for jumping in with me. And now, your turn. Go make something.